Gonna hand it off, got the first down, and Moore still going. Smith still on his feet, got a little help from his friends. Touchdown Bears.
This is the Coach's Smoke Barbecue Baylor postgame show on Sikkim 365 Radio.
They brought in Doyle at fullback. They line up out of the eye. Play fake, Bohannon. Touchdown. Boyle, a receiving touchdown now. What doesn't he do?
The Baylor postgame show is also presented by the Nitchie Group.
On 2nd and 10, all day to throw it. Well, not quite all day, maybe one play. Doyle doing it on both ends, on both sides of the football. This will be from.
Here's Paul Catalina.
Wow! Welcome in to the 365 Sports Baylor postgame show presented by Coaches XXX Smoak. I'm Paul Catalina. 254-339-1122. That's 254-339-1122. We want your rapid reaction on this game. Baylor wins 31-24, and once again, a team beats Texas on a comeback. And Armstrong, I'm getting no voice again. Hold on. Okay, hold on. Oh, he doesn't have a voice. Okay, never mind. Sorry, that was wrong thing. So, we might get Brian Etheridge here in a little bit, trying to work on some guys who are at the yard right now, leaving that or getting ready for post game. After Baylor beats Texas 31-24, this team is 7-1. People, 7-1. Paul Catalina, Armstrong, Sims producing. This is the 365 Sports postgame show. 254-339-1122. Calls, texts, get on the chat right now. Well, the first one, T. Lawrence Gregston says Sarkisian is squarely on the hot seat. He's not. I think the people at Texas kind of know what's going on here, but they know exactly what they have to work on at Texas, and that's finishing games. They were up 21-10 in this game, and Baylor came back and won the game. By the way, it says BYU there on the score bug, Armstrong. But 31-24, Baylor knocks Texas out, essentially, of the Big 12 race. And Baylor keeps pace right there. Oklahoma alone in first, but now keeps pace with Oklahoma State, Iowa State in that race as they improve to 7-1 on the year. And they did it without maybe their best offensive performance at times. Gary Bohannon was not the best he's been all year, threw 2 picks. He'd only thrown 1 coming into this game, but they got the running game going with Abram Smith, Treston Ebner. Gary Bohannon makes some big plays in the running game. The defense, after giving up big plays early, locks down late. Bijan Robinson, 17 carries, 43 yards, and a touchdown. If you hold Bijan Robinson to 43 yards against Texas, you're going to win the game. And they did that today against the Horns. 31-24, again, the final score. And really did it in the second half of not letting themselves get down over the mistakes they made. Missed a pick 6 because TJ Franklin didn't know where JT Woods was, and that's fine. Took a bad interception from Gary Bohannon right before that almost gave the Longhorns points before half, but stuck it out, won the game, down 11 points early in the second half, and it didn't matter. Outscored Texas 21-3 down the stretch in the game, and won to improve to 7-1. And this team is on a roll, folks. Baylor is absolutely on a roll and growing up every time. Let's see, Bad Company 1445. Texas Tech fans saying, "Let's go Baylor." A lot of Sick 'em Bears on the board, but give us a call, 254-339-1122. And Armstrong, if you want to send Brian the Skype link, he can maybe sign in, and we'll see how his voice is doing. Plus, Smokey's going to join us here in a second once he gets downstairs in the press box. So the elevators get a little clogged right at the end of the game as you're walking out of the press box. And, a lot of things in that game that I know that you can dissect for Baylor that didn't go right, but really they overcame their mistakes. They had one penalty in the game overall, and that's after 2 weeks ago against BYU having no penalties. So over the last two games, they're averaging half a penalty per game. Dave Aranda is coaching winning football. He's getting the things out, the basics. He, Jeff Grimes, Ron Roberts, and the staff are getting the little gremlins out of the system so that you have a baseline formula for winning. So if you take out all the little mistakes, all those little things, penalties and dumb stuff, then all of a sudden you've got a team that can win games that's going in knowing that they're not going to beat themselves. And they almost did a couple times today. I was surprised early in the game on 4th and 6 that they kicked a field goal from 50 yards, and it was not the best look, a bad snap, and throw off Isaiah Hankins' timing. I was surprised at that. I was surprised at some of the play calling they had on 4th down the next time around that didn't really play into the weaknesses of Texas. But guess what? They overcame it all. And if you're Texas, you've got to lament a couple things on special teams. One, that, R.J. Snead got a fingertip on the punt from Cameron Dicker, which shows you, Armstrong, how good of a punter Cameron Dicker is, that R.J. Snead could get a finger on it, and it was still like a 45-yard punt. That's how hard he kicks the ball. And then the fake punt that went terribly awry, that they did not read the right way. As a matter of fact, the punt that R.J. Snead blocked should have probably been the one that was faked. All right, I'm going to call Smokey right now, Armstrong. So, there we go. And all right, David Smoak joins us now here on the Sikkim 365 Sports postgame show. Baylor 31, Texas 24. Smokey, that third quarter on, after Texas scored what would turn out to be their final touchdown, was an exercise in Baylor. And just Baylor dominance. They did everything right pretty much down the stretch.
Yeah, they did. They imposed their will, which is really, what I thought in the end could possibly be the difference. Both teams turned it over. Both teams kept the ball away from the great return game of Jamison and Ebner. And Baylor just started squeezing it more and more. Never could really get to Thompson, but they did a couple of times those last two drives. Jalen Petrie one time just flew over like Roy Williams against Texas in the Cotton Bowl a few years back, and he did force a fumble. But you're right. They didn't panic. Down 21-10. Obviously the critical part was they took their time, scored to get back within reason, and there's another second half 21-point run against UT. 21 points, and then they kicked the field goal to give them a chance. But I thought it was methodical. I thought it was a mental, emotionally, a strong performance, because that thing could have gotten away from them if they don't score down 21-10.
Smokey, I often think back to a lot of complaints that people have had about Baylor over the years, and one of the through lines through almost every coach has been penalties. There's just too many penalties. Especially with Art Briles, when they're flying high and scoring 60 points a game, they still had 11 penalties in the game. It didn't matter. This team has one penalty over the last two games, meaning they're averaging half a penalty a game over the last two. Dave Aranda and staff have figured out a way to squeeze that out.
Well, and you think about it, they had problems with penalties early in the year. There were a couple of times against Oklahoma State it might have cost them a game, with that hit by, at the end of the game. And we haven't seen much of him since that time. So They were having problems with penalties all throughout the start of the year. Still able to win, except that Oklahoma State game. That's the one that kind of cost them. And you remember when I asked Aranda, is it time to take the diapers off? But I think as much with the focus and discipline of this team as anything, but to have 1 and 2 games is insane because and the one on the throw down the field of the holding call, I'm thinking, okay, you've let them play all game long. You've let the offensive linemen on both sides maul your defensive linemen. Don't start getting ticky-tacky. And a great play, of course, by Kalen Barnes on the deflection to end it when he had that 4th down throw. Casey Thompson was good. They just started getting more and more pressure on him, Paul. And I think in the end, that's what kept Texas off the board.
Yeah, and I think the thing that kept Texas off balance was the fact Bijan Robinson, he scored a touchdown, but it was from a yard out and was 17 carries and 43 yards. And that was what kept Texas from imposing their will offensively.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, because when it was 21-10, had they gotten it back up 21-10, then you can run Bijan. He ended up with less. I would never, unless I just like it was I don't know how you ever let him have less than 20 carries. But Baylor forced that issue with what they did defensively. They were not going to let him beat them. There was the one throw out in the flat that they covered that pretty well. That eventually still led to a touchdown. But yeah, I thought, man, I looked up and I'm like, my God. I think sometime in the third quarter he had 12, 13, 15 carries, and that was it. They kept him from. We all thought he would get his yards. He didn't even get his yards. They dominated on the line of scrimmage. And Texas did run the ball well. I thought Casey Thompson was their best, obviously their best weapon. They hit Worthy one time deep. Then they shut that down. Woods with that throw, play at the end where Washington couldn't come down with the throw. That was just that could have been a pass interference. Normally you see that. But he got in the way just enough where Washington could not get the concentration, come down with it. And that's just a big finish for Baylor.
Yeah, I think one of the other things that jumps out to me about this team right now, Smokey, is they're playing very complementary football. When one side of the ball's not going well, the other side bails them out or backs them up. And we saw that today, which is not always the case. And that's how you beat good teams, because you're not always going to have your best stuff. And I think offensively, Baylor didn't really have their best stuff today. Gary Bohannon didn't have his best stuff. He was good. He was fine, but it wasn't the best Gary Bohannon game. But the defense picked him up when they had to. The running backs picked him up when they had to. They complement each other really well. And there's never a moment in a game, even against a good team like Texas, and I know they've lost 3 in a row, but that's a good team that they're playing there in Texas. Against good teams, when you can, weather the storm on either side of the ball, that means you can beat pretty much anybody you play.
It's a team that's a high-scoring team with your quarterback not having his best pitch. He was not quite as sharp, but he made plays. That 21-10 drive to put him back to within 4, Gary was able to make some throws. Yeah, he had 2 really bad picks. But he also started to kind of gain some confidence, I think, with him getting a little yardage here and there with a couple of those Wildcats. But I'll tell you, the play that just screwed Texas up, they never defended it. They never defended the quick option. They had nobody there. There was a critical play when it was 21-17. Of course, the Abram Smith cutback, which is the perfect execution of the wide zone one-cut cutback. It wasn't – if you load up the left-hand side, Gary won a game where he gave up a couple of home runs in the first 2 or 3 innings, Paul, in a baseball analogy, and still threw 115 pitches to get the chance to give his a team a chance to win the game. That's great when you're a quarterback, when you know you can make a mistake, but your team's going to pick you up. And I thought the defense, which got they just held Bijan Robinson to under 50 yards. This guy's a superstar, and it's fantastic. And Abram's the one with 100 yards. It's time to start talking about Abram Smith more, because he had the big run, he had the back-breaking run where he outraced B.J. Foster, who's this 5-star everything. That's just a huge win. Yeah,
it's a big win all the way around. I think it's a big win, too. There's a lot of things for fans. Yes, it's probably the last time that Texas is going to play in Waco for a good long while, more than likely. There's probably one more game against the Longhorns next year in Austin, but then that might be it. But for the players not to let all that stuff kind of wear them down, I think shows this team has incredible laser focus on the task at hand.
Yeah, Abram Smith at the podium. I got to go, but I think that you're right. And I thought it was a clean game. There was none of this unsportsmanlike, no trash talking. Go play the football game. Best team wins. Move on. At the end of the game, showed a lot of class both ways. And then, of course, another one of these big games for Abram Smith. He's at the podium.
All right. Thanks, Smokey.
All right.
Go to work, Smokey. What a game for Baylor, for Abram Smith. Let's take one call. One call from T-Rex, who, I mean, it's only 2:36 in the afternoon. I'm sure he's fine. T-Rex, your thoughts, buddy?
Hey, guys, I just want to know, how do you like your steak cooked? Because I like my Bevo cooked with a nice, crisp, medium well, just a little dabble of sauce. So let me know, and I'll bring some Bevo burgers or some Bevo steaks, maybe some beef ribs to the radio station there, because Austin, you can take your Longhorns. UT, enjoy the SEC. And guess what? We still own you, Texas. Stick 'em Bears.
There you go, T-Rex on the line. And what a game. What a game. And it was great. I mean, it was back and forth. It's the kind of game you want to see. Baylor holds on. And I was very concerned, Armstrong, at the end of that game when we were sitting here watching it for Baylor when – they had to punt the ball back to Texas. Now, Texas had no timeouts, but they had 2 full minutes to do everything. And Baylor, 4 consecutive plays, stop. I mean, that shows a good veteran team. Matt in D.C. follows up. I don't know, the lesser of the two Carvers. I don't know, but one of the two.
The lesser. Yeah. I'm the only one. Hey, the first 4 is always the best.
Yeah, there you go.
Anyway, I've been saying it since 2019. Right, even in the first quarter, I was like, get to 30 points. Get to 30 points, and we'll win. And that's all we have to do, Baylor Nation. Get to 30 points. I didn't like a lot of the play calls today. I feel like Gary was kind of timid in the first half, and they even said it at the halftime interview with Dave. He just got to let it rip. He lets it rip. We got it done. Let's keep it moving. Meet me at TCU next week, Baylor Nation, please. If I can fly from D.C. to Fort Worth, all of the Baylor alumni in Dallas can drive from Plano to Fort Worth. That's all I ask. Meet me at TCU, gentlemen. Y'all have a good night. Happy Halloween. Eat some Tootsie Rolls. No candied corn. Corn's down forever. Thank y'all.
There you go. Matt in D.C., 254-339-1122. Got to read a couple chats real quick. The chat's kind of exploded here in the last couple seconds, so let me try to catch up here. Keith, shut down Bijan. So much for that Heisman campaign. Awful first half for Baylor from Z Nova. Decided by a couple big offensive and defensive mistakes. Showed them who the better team was in the second half. Sick 'em. Baylor player, let's see. Let's see. I'm trying to get one. Let's see. Keith Posett said I was spot on. We made them one-dimensional offense. I like it when people tell me I'm spot on, Armstrong. It reinforces my self-esteem. So, let's see. Man, that's some pretty hard. Let's see. Texas problem can be summed up easily. Coach Sark never won more than 8 games and won't do that at Texas either. I don't know. We'll see. I kind of like Sark. Texas is not a good team. Kyle disagrees with me. Texas is the 5th best team in the conference this year. They've just run into the top 3 in the last 3 games. Let's see. People calling for Baylor to make the playoffs. Quarterback play was awesome in the second half from Patrick Zimmerman with complimentary D-line. I am SJY. I'm sad this frenemy and relationship is ending. All right, let's bring in Brian Etheridge, who joins us every week in the postgame show. This week he has to from Dallas because he's got daddy duty. But Brian, a lot of things we've been talking about Baylor correcting and getting better at was on display, especially in the second half today, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things we did get to see was, Baylor make adjustments in the second half. They did shoot themselves in the foot, to use an old term from Guy Morris, in the first half. And, Gary Bohannon was thrown into triple coverage several times and got intercepted twice. And second half, we didn't see that. Saw the O-line dominate. I think that was my prediction on the game. If the O-line and the D-line could dominate the game, Baylor would win. They did that. I mean, you held Bijan Robinson to 2.5 a carry. No one else has held him under 100 yards this year, I don't think. And Baylor held Texas to 99, and that includes some scrambles. So, Baylor ran wild in the second half, essentially, and pounded them just like we expected it to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And Brian, Patrick Bourne on the chat room brings this up. How about the show for prospective future players? A ton of recruits at that game. That's what you want to do, right? When you got a rival in town and pretty much more recruits than you've ever packed into the building before?
I can't wait to hear this from Grayson when Grayson gets hold of these guys and gets the reaction. It's going to be huge because this is a big win. It was a dominating win. It's something that recruits will want to see. It also proves if you want to win, go to championships and go on to major bowls, Baylor can do that. And this is something that looks like 2019 again with the Sugar Bowl. Now, Baylor has to take that next step. Aranda's been there, won the national championship with LSU, and he can sell that vision.
Yeah, do you know the sign of a good the sign of any team, but the sign of a good team is when they've got a steady coach and they take on his personality. And I think this team has gotten Dave Aranda's personality. He's never too high, he's never low, and they just kind of deal with things as they happen. When they missed that field goal, Brian, early in the game, I thought, oh, man, that's bad because usually in that situation, their tendencies are 4th and 6 from that yard line, they're going to go for it. They didn't go for it. Bad snap, bad field, a bad kick and all that, and didn't seem to phase the defense when they went back out on the field at all. Didn't seem to phase the offense the next time they were out on the field.
No, I mean, that's one thing we get to see. We got to see the defense bow their backs this time. They didn't get bailed out by the offense. I mean, the offense dominated BYU, and BYU got a little deflated, and the defense held. But this time, the defense bailed out the offense. They kept Texas to 17 points in the first half, 14 points in the first half, only give up 10 in the second. So Baylor outscored Texas 21-10 in the second to go ahead and win by 7. That's something that we haven't seen since 2019, and that's the way rules teams played, but you're seeing an even more aggressive defense and better disciplined, and they're playing better. This defensive line was not as highly ranked as the defensive line that was there in 2019, but they're playing even better or as well, in my opinion.
Yeah, they're playing. They don't have a James Lynch or a Bravion. Well, they have Siaki Ika, but they don't have a James Lynch, which I think is the biggest is the one difference about the defense. And they don't have a Graylin Arnold necessarily, but I mean, they got JT Woods, they got Jalen Peachy, they got guys who can create turnovers. So I think, that's 2019. It's similar. The one difference is James Lynch, and I think the one difference on offense is that the wide receivers probably aren't as deep and there's not as many weapons at wide receiver. But it doesn't matter when your running backs can impose their will in the fourth quarter. I
agree. I mean, Abram Smith is dominating the Big 12 right now. This is going to be a really interesting matchup when next week against TCU. Have to get by them. TCU's given up a ton of yards on the ground, so Baylor's going to need to come out there and pound the ball again next week. Be on grass at TCU. TCU will be up for this game. Right now, I think they were down. I haven't checked the score for their game today. They don't start till 6. It was the Iowa State was down to West Virginia the last I checked. So it's something that's going to have to, we're going to see a very physical game next week, and then you get the Oklahoma game. If Baylor beats TCU, Oklahoma coming to town, we're talking about extremely physical.
Yeah, it's going to, next week, and here's the key to next week about TCU. If TCU loses to Kansas State, they're down, and they're, again, a cornered animal, and Gary Patterson loves nothing more than to beat Baylor and would be spoiling their season essentially that late, theoretically. If he did, or putting a big, a chance to spoil their season. So they've got to get in the mentality now where now every week is let's put this team away. Let's put this team where we think they need to be. And the rest of the games down the stretch outside of Oklahoma, Baylor is going to be favored in every one of them. TCU, Kansas State, and Texas Tech, they'll be favored in 3 of those 4 games. And, depending on what happens with Oklahoma in the next 2 weeks, the wheels could fall off. I doubt it, though. But other than Oklahoma, they'll be favored in every single one of those games. And I doubt that Oklahoma will be favored by that much when they roll into Waco.
No, I mean, that's going to be pretty much the game of the year, and can't wait to see that. And that'll be something Baylor fans should buy their tickets for now. Just go online and get them. I mean, this is going to be a slobber knocker, as we call it, and it'll be great to watch.
Yeah. I will say one of the things, it is there was less burnt orange than there was BYU Cougar Blue. So the Baylor fans at least warded that off a little bit, but I think there should be some good momentum in 2 weeks to have that place pretty much green and golded out.
I agree. Go buy your tickets, get in there, and get ready for a bowl game.
That's right. All right, Brian, you've got kids' birthday parties all over Dallas today, so thanks for stopping in. Enjoy all that. I hope you get some good candy out of it.
Oh, no candy for this guy.
That's right. That's right.
Got to stay on the diet. So thanks a lot, Paul. Big win for Baylor, and see y'all soon.
All right. Thanks, Brian. That's Brian Etheridge, Sikkim 365. All right. Let's see. It's Blair Savage here from Grand Prairie. Blair, what's going on?
Hello, good day.
Yeah, you're on. Go ahead.
Happy Blair. Anyway, happy Reformation Day Eve, Paul. I know you celebrate that.
Yeah.
So, anyway, what a great game. Offensive line, once again, ever since Eric Mateos and Jeff Grimes got here, that's been a big strength. So, once again, they, just showed out and showed up, and no penalties on Baylor at all. I was shocked. I couldn't go to Baylor game if I was a little kid. You expect that a Baylor team is going to probably have 10 penalties for 100 yards, but you just hope that the offense can keep up. Now you got no penalties. So, what a game, and really supporting the Texans, and appreciate all the fans that came out and cheered. That was really loud. It was a good crowd, and can't wait for next week.
Yeah. All right. Thanks. I don't know who that was, Matt or Blair, whoever it was, but they're clearly walking to the car right now. All right. Let's take our first break. We'll come back. 254-339-1122. More calls, more texts, more chat. We'll do all that next. This is Sikkim 365 Radio.
Masters of barbecue, kings of crazy good food, and the perfect sanctuary for sports, beer, and barbecue is Coach's XXX Smoke on Austin Avenue in downtown Waco, and also on Highway 84 in McGregor. A menu filled with choices like a great offensive playbook, including 3 meat combos with sides, burgers and sandwiches, wings, loaded giant spuds, and salads. Crazy wings, chicken poppers, big boy fries, and smoking quesadillas, just some of their amazing appetizers. There's Coach Big Ol' Draft Beer, or order Zach's Spicy Bloody Mary, or Coach's margaritas and mimosas while watching your favorite team play. Great pecan smoked barbecue, fun atmosphere with attention to detail, including a catering menu, and we'll quote your price to fit your budget. Coach's XXX Smoke on Austin Avenue in downtown Waco, and walking distance to the great places to shop and enjoy, and also the original location on Highway 84 in McGregor. Great food, great price, great fun. Eat where the locals eat.
The 2021 Ram brand just received first place in the prestigious J.D. Power's Initial Quality Study. The Dodge brand finished second to Ram, and the 2021 Jeep Gladiator is first among all midsize trucks. Quality and Ram Power Days, only at Allen Samuels, 201 West Loop 340.
Come by, let's be friends.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. Call us on the BetUS hotline, 254-339-1122.
Welcome back into the Sikkim 365 Sports Baylor postgame show, brought to you by Coaches XXX Smoak. On the text line from Stephen Vaughn, the Riverbend Liquor and Wine text line, SEC, horns down all day, baby. Baylor wins 31-24. Final score from McLean Stadium in Waco. And, Casey Thompson today, not a bad day for Texas. 23 of 38, 280, 2 touchdowns. Had that one pick that wound up turning into nothing. Ran the ball, 5 carries for 31 yards along at 25. But ultimately, they got kind of in his grill late in the game, and that's what kind of the difference was on defense for Baylor. Offensively for Baylor, Gary Bohannon, 18 of 31, 222, and 2 interceptions, but, made a big play running the ball to make it 21-17. After that, it felt like the Bears were kind of on a roll. Abram Smith was Abram Smith. Tristan Ebner, a nice game, 12 carries for 66 yards. R.J. Sneed led the Bears in receiving and scored a touchdown on Tyquan Thornton's touchdown pass early in the game. 8 catches, 94 yards, and a touchdown. Some scores around the country right now. Michigan and Michigan State. With a minute left, it looks like Michigan State's going to hold on and win that game 37-33 after coming back in the fourth quarter. Looks like Cade McNamara just threw an interception. So that one's going to be final there. And Jim Harbaugh, who is 7-0, will now have the heat turned up on him because he still does not do well against the rivals, Michigan State and Ohio State. An upset, number 17 Pittsburgh falls to Miami 38-34. Miami up 21-7 early in that game and holds on and holds off Kenny Pickett, the Heisman candidate, as they win 38-34. Iowa State and West Virginia tied up at 17 right now. Third quarter, I believe, just underway there. Cincinnati, number 2 in the country, beats Tulane 31-12. Wisconsin upsets number 9 Iowa. Iowa 6-2, Wisconsin 5-3. Georgia and Florida just underway. Texas Tech and Oklahoma scoreless so far into the first quarter. Oregon 7, Colorado nothing. And that's it for the top 25 right now. And I believe Texas and Baylor was the only game in the Big 12 that was it's final. Kansas State leads TCU 7-0, 6:24 left to go in the first quarter. Let's go back to the chat to kind of wrap things up here. From Zenova. It's the same deal with Texas fans every year. Excuses, don't know why any elite recruit would go there, and their track record, worst talent to record ratio in the country consistently. And while that might be a little harsh, I mean, that's the thing that Steve Sarkisian's got to overcome, is that they get talent and they leave just as talented as they were when they got there. They don't get better for the most part. That's what the elite programs are doing. That's what the programs that are winning national titles and in the CFP are doing, that are winning conference titles are doing. Guys come in and they're talented and they come out and they're better. And that's what you got to do. Let's see. Let's see. Patrick Boren, if Baylor wins and OU wins when they meet in a couple weeks, will be College game day. Yeah, it absolutely should be. Absolutely should be here if Baylor and OU continue to win over the next couple of games. Let's see. That's SJY, the sweet, delicious, salty tears of the Longhorns are getting me drunk. And Keith Poza, how about the calm, cool, collected response in the second half by Baylor? No panic. I think that was ultimately the biggest difference in this game. And the biggest difference in the Baylor team this year, they don't panic because Dave Aranda doesn't panic. I don't think he knows how to panic. He might, but he doesn't show it. He's very calm. He's very steady. Okay, this didn't work. What's the next thing? You can only do the next thing. And I think that's why Baylor has been so ready to bounce back from when they've had bad games or bad series in this 7-1 run. They've only had one real bad game, and that was Oklahoma State, and still were in that one until the very end. So the Big 12 Conference is getting very interesting right now, and Baylor is in that top tier. Texas now solidly in the second tier because they're on that 3-game losing streak and now really would need some sort of miracle to win the conference over the last 4 or 5 games for everybody. And I don't think that's going to happen. But, Steve Sarkisian's seen some good things, but he's got a lot more he's got to work on. And one of the most important thing is finishing games in the fourth quarter. Patrick asks, any ideas where the CFP polls will put Baylor? Patrick, I gave up trying to figure those people out a long time ago. I don't know. Don't worry. Here's the thing, Patrick. Don't worry about it until the last one. If on Monday you think Baylor should be 9th or 10th or 7th in the CFP or whatever, and they're not, they put them at 16th, don't worry about it. Doesn't matter. There's weeks and weeks to go. Doesn't matter. Just does not matter. That only matters at the end. So don't worry about it. Also, don't watch that show. Don't. It's nothing. It's essentially like, when sitcoms would do like a clip show, like these are the best hits of the season or whatever. That's what that is. It's a clip show. It's not a new episode. It doesn't move it along. Hey, here's the funniest scenes from the last whatever. No, it's a clip show. That's all that it is, wrapped up in something that you're supposed to think is important. All right, that's going to do it for us here on the Signum 365 Sports post-game show. Thanks to coaches XXX Smoak. Thanks to David Smoak. Thanks to Brian Etheridge. Thanks to Armstrong Sims. Thanks to everybody who called. Thanks to everybody on the chat. There's football games on, people. Get in it. Let's get in it. Let's have a great Saturday. We'll talk to you next week on Signum 365 Radio, Monday at 3 o'clock. Keep an eye out for the big one, too. CFB with JD, all the great stuff that we do. And like and subscribe. Like and subscribe, or all your steak will taste weird. And you won't figure out why. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Have a great weekend, everybody.